Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. Today we're discussing news of Finn Wolfhard stepping behind the camera, Madam Web snatches up some new star power, and PlayStation starts a loyalty program. Plus, Trailer Time features a Woman King and a WifeLike robot. All this and everything else that happened this week in Geek.
Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hello, I'm J-Law, but you can call me Justin, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things Geekcentric. Joining me for This Week in Geek, he's got beautiful thighs and a nimble tongue. It's Mr. Nate Shelton. How are you, buddy?
I'm trying to put the pieces together here, Justin, because normally when we do these intros, they relate to our stories in some way. Can you explain yourself? Nimble thighs? What's going on?
Beautiful thighs and nimble tongues. It'll probably come up later when we talk about Whatcha. So I'll let you know then why.
Okay, all right.
That is
Stay
a thing.
till the end of the show to find out why Justin is complimenting my thighs.
And his tongue.
Okay. All right.
How are you, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm I think the summer is upon us. We're full-fledged into it, and I finally got a chance to hang out with some work friends for the first time at my, because we got here, it was like October-ish, November-ish, weather wasn't great, and now that the weather's great, I'm actually getting to go out and hang out with people, so I'll be talking about that in my Whatcha, and just having a good old time.
Good, man. Good. Awesome. Well, before we get into the news, I thought we could just quickly chat about a new Lego set that's dropping. I know Kevin's not with us today, but he'd be freaking out about the Office Lego set coming to shelves this fall. The Building Brick Company has approved a playset inspired by the beloved comedy series through their Lego Ideas portal last year, and now it's becoming a reality. Not only does the Lego set perfectly recreate Dunder Mifflin's bullpen, but it also includes Michael's office and frequently visited conference room. But perhaps the best part is the huge ensemble of minifigures, all of your favorite employees, 15 to be exact, but it does not include characters like Andy and Aaron. Yeah. It's the original cast, but nonetheless, I think that this is really cool. It had a lot of fans. My Twitter was definitely blowing up in regards to this. Nate, are you going to be picking this up?
Dude, I've already got it pre-ordered, my guy. I've already got it pre-ordered. I pre-ordered it like the second I saw it. Super stoked to have it. This is part of the Lego Ideas line, and they've already done this with the Friends sets. Mm-hmm. They've done it with Seinfeld. I've got those as well. But one thing that they did do for the Friends set that I'm hoping they do for this is they released The Other Apartment. And so I'm wondering if maybe we'll get to see maybe another one of the Office spaces. Maybe that's where we get, Andy or maybe another situation where we can get Aaron. So I could totally see them going off of this even further and giving us some of those additional characters. But dude, the minifig count it's like, what is it, 15? You said 15 minifigs?
Yeah, it's 15. It's 15 minifigs.
Absolutely insane. I'm so stoked for this. I'm stoked for the accessories too. Of course, we've got the World's Best Boss mug, and then we've got the chili. Is probably my favorite.
Yeah, the photos are great.
Favorite thing with Kevin just slipping in the chili. Dude, I am so stoked for this. The stapler and the Jell-O, just all these really unique ways that they're using, our traditional Lego pieces to kind of build out this office world. And dude, I am more than hyped for this. I'm so excited.
Well, I think if anything, it shows the attention to detail that Lego has with loving callbacks to things that have happened in the show.
Well, one of the things that I think the details that I really love, and they actually did this with the Seinfeld set as well. With the Seinfeld set, you get his apartment, but you also do get his stage, which obviously at the beginning of every Seinfeld episode, we see him on stage and how it relates to the episode itself. And so with the same sort of theming, the same sort of idea of how they do cutaways to different parts of the office while they interview, the various employees. Michael's office is actually a separate piece. So you can slide it in or out of the remaining office. And I love that idea because I think especially for folks who are a fan of The Office, maybe they work in an office. And so how wonderful could it be for them to bring leave the whole office at home, but bring Michael's office with them to the office and put it on their desk, I think is a really awesome thing. And again, it just shows how much Lego is paying attention to all audiences. They're not just focused on kids, and they've been doing this ideas series for quite some time, and it's just been phenomenal. I'm loving it, man.
I couldn't agree more. And I feel like the other thing too is that it's great that Lego with this Lego's idea program is really proactively turning them into actual sets that fans can buy that mean a lot. And I think, again, it must mean Lego is just racking in the dough right now. Like they will not stop. So, it's an exciting time to be a Lego fan. Let me tell you that much.
Dude, it's shipping in October. Honestly, I cannot wait. This honestly is probably some of the best news for Office fans.
Yes, it is. And speaking of news, I think it's that time to get into the news.
It's all about the details.
All right, our first news story, Stranger Things' Finn Wolfhard, co-writing and co-directing Hell of a Summer. This comes from James White over at Empire. Finn Wolfhard is primarily known for his work in front of the camera, especially in Stranger Things and on the big screen in Ghostbusters Afterlife. But Finn Wolfhard is adding writer-director to his resume. He'll co-write and co-direct the horror comedy Hell of a Summer with fellow actor turned filmmaker Billy Brike. Wolfhard will also act in the movie alongside Brike and Pam and Tommy's Fred Heichinger. Though the story details are being kept quiet for now, we are going to imagine that it has something to do with horror events and something in the summer based on its title. In a statement, Wolfhard says, "I'm so excited to be co-directing my first feature film. I get the chance to work with an incredible cast and crew and to work with a company like 30 West and Aggregate is a real dream." The actor has experience behind the camera working on a short film entitled Night Shifts, which won an award at the Fantasia Film Festival. He'll next be heard rather than seen in Guillermo del Toro's adaptation of Pinocchio. Okay, so Nate, we've coming off the heels of Stranger Things Volume 1 and Volume 2, and we got Finn Wolfhard taking a step back. It looks like he wants to get behind the camera. What do you think?
I think it's weird to call him a kid even now, I think, and that's the strange part. But I think it's no pun intended. I think though it's one of those things where he's so young. But yeah, to expand and to have the opportunity to expand into the industry like this at such a young age, I'm all for it, dude. That sounds super cool. I think literally just from the title, obviously we don't have too much of a description. Hell of a Summer. It sounds like it's right up his alley in terms of his previous work on Stranger Things and kind of that subject matter. But it is crazy to me because like I recently read an article. I think it was an old article. It was just Gatton Matarazzo just kind of having a little bit of fear about the fourth season of Stranger Things and how much they've all grown up. And even though in the actual story they haven't really grown up that much, and how even by the next season they'll be even older, playing the same aged kids. And he was just kind of worried that it was gonna rub fans the wrong way with the way they looked, and obviously it didn't, and it won't. But it's just nuts to me to think that this little kid from Stranger Things is going to be writing and directing a major motion picture is just unreal. It's unreal. But yeah, man, all power to him. I think this is exciting. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what comes of it. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think I can echo the sentiments of being interested to see what Wolfhard can do behind the camera. He's expressed a passion to want to direct and write and interviews and whatnot. But I also think it's really interesting given the fact that, someone like Millie Bobby Brown, who's carved out such an extensive career outside of Stranger Things, from
Yeah.
a makeup line to being executive producer on projects to, even on Stranger Things 4, working with the younger version of 11, like directing her. I think there's a lot of influences in and around Finn Wolfhard that make sense for his trajectory and his career. And I think it is one of those things where, not to say that he is getting typecasted, but he kind of is to a certain degree. I think there's a lot of parallels between his character from Stranger Things into something like Ghostbusters Afterlife, into something that like It. There's obviously varying differences between each of those characters. Even for him, he'd probably very easily argue, yes, each of those characters are different. But I think from audiences and everyone that doesn't necessarily see all those nuanced differences, they're just going to see Finn Wolfhard as being kind of like a constant.
So it's great that he's wanting to change the perception of himself so that he doesn't just get seen as these typecasted kid characters.
This is a good thing for him. He has such a passion. He's talked about it lovingly that he wants to take on a directing and writing responsibility in a movie, and to do this as a co-directing, I think that's also really safe too. Like that ensures that there's a give and take relationship to it. It's not all on his shoulders to do everything. He is very much sharing that with his filmmaking partner, Billy Brike, right? So I think that all sounds like there's a good formula here for a good project.
But you have to wonder too, like, we talk about the idea of him seeming typecast to us. Maybe that's his thing. He loves these types of roles. Maybe, if he's going to be writing a movie called Hell of a Summer, and it's like him and a couple other younger adults, let's say, going through some sort of demonic summer, experience. I'm just going to assume there's 80s music involved or something like that. Like,
right, exactly.
I kind of feel like maybe, this is what he knows. This is what he digs. This is what he loves. Maybe that's kind of where we're going to see him. But obviously we don't know anything past the title. So I could be completely wrong. And he's going to get a ton of, like, this is just a very, very scratching the surface of the beginning for him. He's going on to bigger and better things beyond this. So, we'll definitely see him. And I'm excited to see, because I think, like, I look at someone like Daniel Radcliffe, right? And I think of a movie like Imperium, which is, if you've not seen Imperium, is one of the most incredible performances from Daniel Radcliffe, in my opinion. And so to see him, kind of shine there, or he's in the upcoming Weird Al project. As Weird Al, again, like, we're kind of seeing him.
We're seeing the evolution, right?
We're seeing the evolution, and we'll very much see, I think, as Finn starts taking on newer roles and maybe starts writing newer roles for him, we'll definitely start seeing that. So
I totally get it. I totally agree. I think 100% Finn taking on directing and writing of a movie, it's going to help him in the trajectory of defining himself differently. Cool. All right, well, let's get into our next news story here. Adam Scott joins Dakota Johnson in Sony's Madam Web. This comes from Etan Vlessing from The Hollywood Reporter. Adam Scott has jumped on board at Madam Web, the Sony spin-off centered on the Spider-Man character. S.J. Clarkson is set to direct the feature, which has Dakota Johnson in the lead role and Emma Roberts and Sydney Sweeney already casted in supporting roles. Scott recently starred in Dan Erickson's absurdist sci-fi dramedy Severance for Apple TV Plus, which, Nate, I know you're a huge fan of. I haven't finished it yet, so we will reserve any conversation in and around that. That being said, he was starring alongside John Turturro, Patricia Arquette, and Christopher Walken in that series. So there's some serious star power all around. Madam Web is one of a number of projects in development at the studio as Sony builds out its own universe of Marvel characters. Sony, which controls the film rights to Spider-Man and other related characters, has already released Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and most recently Jared Leto's Morbius this past April. The studio is 100% still riding high following the release of Spider-Man No Way Home, which grossed $1.9 billion globally, the highest in Sony history. And as we know, Sony currently has Kraven the Hunter in production with star Aaron Taylor Johnson. So I would love to know, What is your take on this whole Madam Web project? We got a lot of Spider-Man content coming and more that's rumored to be coming. But with this Madam Web, are you excited to see Madam Web? And with the addition of Adam Scott, who do you think he might be playing in the movie?
Well, Justin, I'm sorry to tell you, my spidey senses are tingling here. Literally 20 minutes ago, as of this recording, Madam Web has now been pushed in release date. Moved back by, I believe it's showing here, 3 months. Now coming out October
2023?
2023. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Insidious 5 is going to take over that spot. So, obviously, priorities. Obviously, Insidious is way better than anything Spider-Man related. So, obviously, that's what Sony wants to do. I don't know. Dude, here's the thing. I'm not too familiar with Madam Web in general. I know that from what I've read that she's kind of like, I don't know, like she's at the center of all the Spider-Men across the multiverse. And so obviously she's pretty important. I think the part that confuses me in terms of my excitement is, am I sitting here waiting for a Venom or a Venom Let There Be Carnage or a Morbius? Or am I sitting here waiting for a No Way Home, right? And
I don't,
that's the part that I'm leaning more towards the former, unfortunately, and that does not get me excited. And as great as Dakota Johnson is, I love Dakota Johnson. As great as Adam Scott is, I don't know if I care enough based off of the track record of the people making it, and that sucks. Like I should be excited for a new Spider-Man anything, and I'm just not if it's not gonna be, Kevin Feige and my beloved Marvel MCU crew. So I don't know. As far as who Adam Scott could play, I don't know, dude. I don't have any ideas at all. He'll be he's gonna be a nurse. I think he's gonna be a nurse, a male nurse, that is in charge at the hospital that Madam Web ends up at.
Do you think he'll be a bad guy or a good guy?
You know what? He's been great in both roles. I think he really could nail it in both. I mean, Severance shows him as more of a heroic character, and but then at the same time, Loot on Apple TV Plus, which is also fantastic. He's back to playing a big dickhead in that show. So I could see him on either side. I do know that if he is a villain, I guarantee he's going to get yoked. He's going to take his shirt off and he's going to do a rich man, dance, because that's what we keep getting with all these movies is the supervillain, dancing around. And I'm just calling out Morbius and a few other movies. No, I honestly don't know, dude. Do you have any ideas?
Oh, cool. Well, first, Madam Web's character is a little confusing for a lot of people, but even in the Hollywood Reporter, they describe it. Madam Web is a clairvoyant mutant who specializes in predicting the future of spider-themed superheroes, having mentored not only Peter Parker's alter ego, but also multiple generations of heroes calling themselves Spider-Women and Spider-Men. Traditionally depicted as a blind, paralyzed old woman, which seems very offensive for whatever reason to describe her. She is surrounded by a web-like machine necessary to keep her alive, meaning that she stays away from direct conflict and rather sends others on mission. So I just think that in conjunction with the casting that we already know, so Dakota Johnson is going to be playing Madam Web. We also know Emma Roberts and Sydney Sweeney are going to both be in this movie as well. One of them has to be Gwen Stacy or has to be a variation of, and I think Sydney Sweeney definitely would be that.
Could work.
Would be perfect for it. That could be a long shot, but I thought it would be cool though if, now that Spider-Man No Way Home established like a multiverse of different Spider-Man, what if Adam Scott was
a
Spider-Man, right? And from another universe, that a Peter Parker that they have to interact with, not the central character, of course, but someone that is cameoed as the Peter Parker of another universe. I think
he could be
that
like
lends itself.
Peter S. Parker. They got Peter B. Parker. He could be Peter S. Parker for Scott as like an in-joke.
For sure.
Yeah.
And this also really comes off of what was established in Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Versus what we got from No Way Home. I think No Way Home just kicked it into, high gear for the MCU and to allow, Sony to kind of shit on their own stuff and do whatever they want. Sorry, but I just, again, I agree with you. I love the character of Madame Web. I love what she means, and I think it's such a smart way to continue with what No Way Home did so well, which is opening the multiverse. I wish Marvel was involved in this project to help really see it, because it's clear based on that end credit scene from Morbius that Sony doesn't have a grasp on what they're doing. And in all honesty,
Dude,
just doesn't even make any sense.
It's just Vulture literally says something happened with Spider-Man and that's why I'm here. Like, that's his line. And and this is where it just gets so worrisome for this group of characters that are so wonderful, so beloved by so many people who have fallen in love with the Spider-Verse that's already been established, who do love Madame Web. It just sucks. Like, it just sucks. And it's like, unless if it was an animated project, if it was a spin-off from the people that brought you into the Spider-Verse, dude, all for it. I'm all there.
I would be
all
more
in.
for that. I would.
Right?
I would be down. I think that's even more. Honestly, doing that would be a lot better, because that has the continuity of Into the Spider-Verse. Right now, you're as you mentioned when you were talking about it, it's just inconsistent right now. You don't know what to anticipate. Are you gonna get a Venom or Let There Be Carnage or a Morbius style movie, or are you going to get a No Way Home? There's a chance that they could give you that. It's clear though that Marvel needs to be behind it if it's going to move, if it's in any way going to feel that way. So it makes me a little nervous, but I love Dakota Johnson, so I'm excited to see her.
I think she'll be a young Madame Web, if anything. I don't see them aging up Dakota Johnson. And I think this is more of an origin story maybe for the Madame Web character, as she's the main, because I don't think they're gonna, like, from what I'm seeing of images online of Madame Web, I don't think they're gonna go there right away, or maybe they will, and maybe Venom will be there, and Morbius will be there, and then they introduce Kraven, and then that wrestler guy is gonna be there, and it's just gonna be terrible, and I don't really care. So I'm just sad. And I want Kevin Feige just to swoop in and say, "Hey, everyone, don't worry about it. We got it. We're gonna take it from here," and just take over and just make a great movie.
Yeah, I don't think Sony wants to let that go, but that's another conversation. So, all right, let's get into our next news story. Sony announces PlayStation Stars, a loyalty program for gamers. This comes from Shannon Liao of the Washington Post, who writes, Sony is adding a free rewards and loyalty program for gamers called PlayStation Stars. The program will launch later this year, and I put air quotes out there. The company said, though specific details about a release timeline remain under wraps. Players can use PlayStation Stars to earn rewards through completing tasks called campaigns, such as spending time on a particular title or working towards in-game achievement. All players will earn loyalty points that can be redeemed for PlayStation Network wallet funds and thus traded in for items worth real money. Gamers who are also subscribed to Sony PlayStation Plus online services will earn additional points to spend in the PlayStation Store, a perk that non-subscribers will miss out on. Players can redeem points for standalone games, add-ons, content, and specially themed collectibles in the reward catalogs. Sony plans to add new rewards, campaigns, and collectibles over time. While Sony was obviously vague on details about this program, it said there will be a monthly check-in campaign that rewards users for playing at least one game, as well as other campaigns for winning tournaments and earning specific trophies. Other campaigns might ask players to play a certain game online, though. As part of the PlayStation Stars, the first player to reach Platinum, completing all in-game achievements in a blockbuster title, in a local time zone will also receive a reward, precluding others from winning it. Chen said that the company would work to minimize fraudulent activities in the event that people cheat or buy and sell accounts with certain rewards attached. Another kind of reward Sony is offering is digital collectibles, which are 3D rendered representations of things like figurines of the video game characters and past Sony devices. They aren't non-fungible tokens, despite also being digital and collectible. In the interview, Grace Chen, Vice President of Network Advertising, Loyalty, and Licensed Merchandise, said, "It's definitely not an NFT, definitely not. You can trade them or sell them. It is not leveraging any blockchain technology and definitely not NFT." So thank God that they're
Very
not
specific.
NFTs. Well, because I don't think NFTs are fully realized yet.
There's
I think
also
it is
a
an
lot
interesting.
of there's a lot of negative stigma around NFTs, as there should be. They're not. I definitely don't fully agree with that. With doing that. If you want to do that on your own time, that's cool. But don't bring it into my video games. I think this is exciting. I don't so much care about the 3D model things as much as I do about the.
Really?
They were talking about you could trade it in for licensed merch, which I'm a huge fan of. Nintendo has a program very similar to this, where you can go on to, using your Nintendo rewards points, and you can have them mail you like actual like exclusive merchandise that you wouldn't even be able to buy at their Nintendo stores, which I thought was really cool. Just like
that's
the other,
cool.
I think the last one I got was Pokemon Snap. It was like a little carrying case, Ziploc carrying case for all your Pokemon pictures or whatever you want to put in there, little pencil cases and things like that. And again, these are really fun. I think I got a pin set that was like literally the different coins of the rewards that you can get, and I got that exclusive pin set. So there's a lot of really fun stuff that they could do, I think, with the PlayStation branding, and I'm all for it, dude. This sounds really fun.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I just I just signed up for their new tier, and
The
I think
PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Plus Extra.
Yeah, I did the top. So
Yeah.
if you're doing PlayStation, I feel like it's very much the same thing if you're doing Xbox. You're going to subscribe to the services to help give you the fullest experience of what they're envisioning about how the system and the online cloud and all of this just kind of coexists to experience for the experience. And I think PlayStation does have some interesting perks. I was actually reading through it, so it's cool. It's cool what they're doing. This does add another layer. So basically, I could earn points from just playing specific high tier games, and if I make certain sort of achievements, I'm just gifted these like X amount of dollars that can then go towards something, or
Yeah,
like
it's a rewards
you collect
program,
over
right?
time, right?
Yeah.
You collect it over time.
Yeah, people are collecting trophies. People are collecting platinum trophies already, and they're doing that of just for the fun and for the challenge. So to get a kickback from it, why not? If it's part of the service, I guess I'm all for it. I think it might even encourage me to try to explore some of these campaigns, as they're calling them, a little bit more. And again, it's just another layer of challenge. And I do find it really interesting, the aspect of like, if you're like, you can earn a specific reward if you're the first one to get the platinum trophy within like your region or something like that. I think is crazy. There's going to be those people that are like, oh yeah, I've gotten the past 6 of those in my entire country or something like that.
Yeah, but you're right though. They could literally go and then say, okay, yes, platinum, this is how many points you get. But here's all these extra things that happen within this game, and you get to go through them, and you can kind of sort them based on how many points you get, and certain things that are going to give you more points. And it's like, whoa, like if I complete this, I'm going to get X amount of points. Like that's dope. I should definitely try to do it, right? And to see that there's a reward, like you said, a kickback from you doing that achievement that is actually tangible, that's going somewhere, that in itself feels like it's just adding value to taking the time to do it, right? Because you're getting something out of it to a certain degree. So,
and I think this also, it's interesting that she mentioned blockbuster video games and being kind of incentivizing people to play certain of the latest releases. People are going to play God of War. People are going to play the new Horizons.
Yeah, of
people are
course.
going to play the new whatevers. I think where this really could shine would be for indie games. I think indie games and indie developers, for them to maybe even have some sort of release plan for them to kind of say like, hey, listen, if you invest a certain amount of time in our indie game after you've purchased it, you're going to earn enough points that by the time we develop the next one, you'll be able to just use those points if you have them towards that, or something along those lines, right? And because I think what a lot of developers are finding is that people are buying these games, they're buying all these games, but they're not really putting any time into them. And if they don't put time into them, they're not going to talk about them. They're not going to tell them about them to their friends. So I think this is a really great incentive just to keep people playing, because they could keep releasing more of these incentives even after you've completed the first run as part of DLC, or just as part of hey, this week only, if you do this in the game, you can get this kickback. So I'm really stoked for this. I think it's a really, really great idea. And again, it's something that Xbox has done in the past with earning rewards, and Nintendo has done. So it only makes sense that Sony's going to integrate it as part of this push for PlayStation Plus Extra. Yeah, man, really, really, really looking forward to this.
No. Yeah, well, I knew you would be able to enlighten me a little bit more about what to anticipate. So I'm glad that we included that news story. But on to our last news story, and this one definitely put a smile on my face.
Yeah, man.
Lilo and Stitch live-action remake to be directed by Marcel the Shell with Shoes On filmmaker. This comes from Boris Kitt over at the Hollywood Reporter. Dean Fleischer-Camp, the filmmaker behind indie darling Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, is going to Disney. The filmmaker will direct a live-action take on Lilo and Stitch, the 2002 animated movie from Walt Disney Feature Animation, which recently celebrated its 20th anniversary. This past year, so fantastic. The script is already being written by Chris Kikani Okalani Bright. The move gets the project, which will be a part of the tentpole feature for Disney Plus. So I think this will be a straight to Disney Plus. While not a massive success by modern box office standards, the well-regarded movie was a bright spot in a down period of Disney animation history and launched several direct-to-video sequels as well as a television series. Lilo and Stitch is intended to be a live-action CG hybrid, a form that Fleischer-Camp has a proven facility with. Marcel is a heartwarming tale centered on an adventure into the human world. The movie is one of the most acclaimed of the year. It has a 99% score on Rotten Tomatoes, and A24 is using a platform release to build word of mouth. It has one of the highest pre-screen averages and has made almost $1 million domestically on only 48 screens. So The movie is killing it right now. I have not seen this movie yet. I know you have, and I'm sure it's going to come up in conversation later. But I am absolutely excited about this. I'm not unfamiliar with who Marcel the Shell is. The internet sensation that was so many years ago, that captured the hearts of so many. It's great to see that that filmmaker who has such an endearing approach to the story that he wants to tell is going to be bringing Lilo and Stitch to life. Because Nate, as you know, it's mine and my wife's favorite. My wife first and foremost, and by extension. Yeah. I have now come to appreciate that movie quite a bit. So I'm very excited to see this and to see how they're going to blend this aesthetic of CG live action. We've seen it before, but it really does intrigue me. It's in Hawaiian culture. There's going to be a vibrancy to it that needs to be there, but not too gritty and almost too real world that like Marcel is. Like Marcel has a lot of real world, but there is a bit I haven't seen the movie, so I imagine there might be some fantastical elements to the movie. But even when I think of the short films, it was very real world rather than super, super vibrant. So there'll be a really nice blend of both, I think. And yeah, Dean Fleischer-Camp, I can't wait to see what he's going to do with it.
I'm really excited. Yeah, I mean, I'll be talking about that movie maybe a little bit later with Marcel, but to see that, Bright, a Hawaiian-born, filmmaker and writer, I'm excited to see that he's penning the script and writing on it. I think obviously that's perfect, and yeah, to bring Dean Fleischer-Camp onto it, it's just the movie itself, the original is with Lilo and Stitch is so it's so important to make sure you're capturing that level of heart and heartfelt moments. And I get teary-eyed whenever I think of poor little Stitch walking in the rain, thinking that he's the ugly duckling. But I'm really interested to see how they sort of do this. I think Disney, it'll be interesting to see a lot of their previous, work in terms of the live action slash, hybrid CGI hasn't really been that great.
I agree with you to a certain degree. We did just get Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, which was
so if it's okay, you're right,
which was fire, right?
Yeah.
So like if we're getting into the sense of and that's very much trusting Akifa Schaffer and the Lonely Island Boys just to actually tell that story the way it needs to be told. And if that approach finds its way here with Lilo and Stitch, allowing Dean Fleischer-Camp to tell his story and how he wants to tell it. And again, I the article calls out that there was several straight to VHS sequels and other stories. And it would be interesting if instead of cramming so much of Stitch's background in this and really just focusing on Stitch trying to realize the key element, Ohana is family. And then we get like more stories to be told about where his characters come from and that adaptation of the aliens and stuff like that. They'll obviously be introduced here, but maybe they don't need to be. What I think is maybe keeping it really grounded in a real story could be effective, and maybe hopefully that's part of the pizzazz of why Dean Fleischer-Camp is stepping in to kind of give it the sensibility of feeling very endearing while also very real.
Interesting. Yeah, I tweeted out, and it's not really a spoiler or anything for Marcel, but as far as that movie is concerned, it does deal with loss. So I'd be interested to see if maybe, to your point, do we need another origin story for Stitch? Do we need to see how him and Lilo met in live action when we've already gotten it in the cartoon? You're right. Maybe they do go maybe a slightly different direction with it, and we do get to see. I think it would be really interesting if they did it documentary style, kind of carrying off of Fleischer-Camp's strength with Marcel. Like, do we get maybe more of a standpoint of like we get to see a day in the life of Lilo as she's living
years
with
later?
her. Yeah,
it's
right.
Years later. That's
maybe
interesting.
She's a little bit aged up. I don't know. I think it would be really interesting to see if this is maybe even like a sequel to Lilo and Stitch rather than or a pseudo sequel reboot sort of thing, as they like to do with these movies. But yeah, man, I'm excited. The only thing, because I'm happy that they're making. I didn't even know they were going to make one of these. The only thing, you have to get Stitch's look right. You have to get Stitch's. Don't give me ugly Sonic teeth on Stitch. I know he's got not the greatest teeth to begin with.
They'll do it right. They'll do it
Yeah.
right. They'll do it right for sure. I think they will. I don't think anyone has ever seen something from Disney or any of the studio that Disney has done that's been like as violently offensive as the first iteration of Sonic. I just think, I don't know, like that was crazy, that fan reaction. And then he found his way into Chip and
into a
Dale,
Disney
spoiler
movie.
alert. So
Yeah,
exactly. So the irony of the whole situation.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yes, we're very much looking forward to seeing live action Lilo and Stitch. But until then, I think we should call up Kevin and get that banjo ready because
It's trailer time.
all right, our first trailer is for The Patient, which is a series that'll be streaming on Disney Plus or FX if you have FX in the States as of Tuesday, August 30th. This stars Steve Carell and Domhnall Gleeson. It tells the story of a psychotherapist who recently lost his wife, finds himself held prisoner by a serial killer with an unusual request to curb his homicidal urges. It was interesting to see Steve Carell because, we talked about The Office off the top here as a Lego set, and to think about The Office and what he's done. I like the weird stuff that he's done outside of The Office. Like I like these dark sort of character portrayals that he does. How about yourself? Are you a fan of that style of Steve Carell's acting?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's also executive producing this show, and I think that's going to allow him to really, dig into this character. I think his dramatic acting chops on the morning show are phenomenal. So to get it to see him continue this here, and I love it whenever we get comedians because that's the biggest thing that a lot of people sort of don't expect. They think comedians can just make people laugh, but comedians oftentimes have to go to a really dark place to be able to get to those places where they can make people laugh. So I'm I think it's going to be fantastic to see him in this. I love FX. Like What We Do in the Shadows, Legion, Fargo, Atlanta, Dave. Steve Carell as a therapist who needs therapy himself, slowly getting trapped by one of his patients is something I would only trust to like HBO or Apple TV Plus, or in this case, FX. And they're always showing up with like these surprising little shows that I'm like, nobody anticipated, but I've always really enjoyed them. And I don't know, man, it sounds good. It sounds, based off the description, that we're going to get like some flashback action between Steve's character, Alan, and the memories of his old therapist. So I'm always down for a good flashback or a force ghost or whatever it turns out to be. Because I think at one point he's like, I have to go to the master or something like that. And so he's going to be talking to his old therapist. But yeah, dude, Domhnall Gleeson showing up in an antagonist role. Obviously his best antagonist role from Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and those films. No, I think honestly, this could be really good. They're giving us 10 episodes. That's a good number. If they were giving us 6, I'd be a little worried, but they're giving us 10. Yeah, man, I'm excited for this one. I think this is going to be a little hidden gem.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think FX, they know how to trust each of the series to be their own based on the filmmaking style, but that's what brings them together and makes them very FX is sometimes their absurdity and bizarreness of how different they are.
Yeah.
But also their ability to tell really personal, meaningful stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken as well, too, Reservation Dogs is FX, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yep.
Is it not?
Yeah.
Right? So, again, another example of a great series and great style of storytelling. I guess my only concern with this series specifically, Domhnall Gleeson. I don't know if I can... If
you could
I'm
see
really
him
sold
in this role?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sold. So I think that's the only thing. I definitely am interested in checking it out.
For Domhnall Gleeson, I mean, his acting chops have been phenomenal. I think back to the episode of Black Mirror that I've seen him in, that I really, really enjoyed him in that. And I just feel like, I don't know, when they cut in the trailer to kind of, you see going up the chain and then it leads up to him and he's just sitting there with his like blank stare face. I was like, that's Domhnall Gleeson. Like, I didn't realize it all the way up to that point. I think it even showed in the trailer, like, Domhnall Gleeson. But I'm like, that's not the bad guy that we're looking at right now. And then we get to him, and, you know, like you were saying, like, I wasn't expecting Domhnall Gleeson to be this antagonist, but I'm intrigued, man. I think it could be one of those moments where you're kind of like, I don't see him as a bad guy. And then we get to it, and you're like, oh, no, he's a bad guy. Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of wish it was Andrew Garfield, in my opinion. But
really,
that's just
as a villain.
Yeah,
we haven't seen that. I don't think we've really seen that.
And I also,
either, right?
just to play off of someone like Steve Carell, I think what's going to be really interesting is these intimate conversations that the two characters are going to have. So
yeah,
I loved Andrew Garfield in Under the Banners of Heaven. I'd love to have seen him in this series as being a villain, and I think that would have been really, really interesting. But that being said, Domhnall Gleeson, I'll give him a shot. I'll definitely see if I can take to it. But yeah, that comes out August 30th. So a lot of content coming out, and we also got some okay movies. Our next one is Secret Headquarters.
Yeah.
So this is directed by Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman. Starring Owen Wilson, Michael Pena, Walker Scobell, Jesse Williams, Levi Tran, Momana Tamata, Jesse Mueller, and Keith L. Williams. The synopsis goes, while hanging out after school, Charlie and his friends discovered the headquarters of the world's most powerful superhero, played by Owen Wilson, hidden beneath his home. When villains attack, they must team up to defend the headquarters and save the world. It'll be streaming on Paramount Plus August 12th, and thank God it's streaming, because I don't know how many people are going to go to the theater to see this. I like Walker Scobell. I like Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
This just feels like a almost Spy Kids level absurdity bullshit. I don't know if I necessarily need it.
It's a kids movie. Let's preface that
it's a kids movie. Yeah.
So we're two grown ass men talking about this movie seriously. My whole thought with this movie, like the first thing I noticed is just like these two sounds. Wow. That's my anticipation for this movie. I will say Walker Scobell looks more like Owen Wilson's son than he does Ryan Reynolds' son.
I totally agree with that.
So especially with the haircuts, they definitely did those haircuts on purpose.
For sure.
These kids, are too young to be throwing ragers. I don't know what that kid's talking about. In the trailer, this kid's like, we're going to throw a rager. And I'm like, what? Am I no longer, like, how old am I now that I no longer know when kids start to have wild parties? They should not be having wild parties at this age. But I just think if Walker Scobell wasn't already cast in Percy Jackson, I'd say he's just destined to act in these movies that are made up of better movies. Like, The Adam Project was the sci-fi tribute, and then here we're getting, like, Goonies meets MCU mashup, right? Superhero stuff. It's just like, even for an original concept, because I'm pretty sure I read somewhere where someone's like, it's not based on anything, it's an original concept, and I'm like, no, it looks pretty unoriginal to me. Like, Owen Wilson is just Iron Man. The MacGuffin that he's holding in the trailer, where he's like, we have to protect this, like, orb or something. It literally looks like the orb that held the Power Stone in Guardians of the Galaxy, like, to a T. And it doesn't help that in that moment in the trailer where he's holding this orb, he literally says the word Guardian. So I'm just like, this trailer's not helping me to separate myself from everything I've seen before. So I don't know, man. And it's even copying the flaws of the MCU. Like, we get Michael Pena in the suit against him, and it's just, it's the same power set of the villain and the the hero in the trailer. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's again, it's for kids. Kids are probably gonna have a great old time if you've got, this is probably gonna be better than the other kids stuff on Paramount Plus. Like, don't sit your kids down to watch that Fairly Odd Parents live action bullshit. Like, don't let them watch that. Watch this instead. I'm sure it'll be much better. But yeah, dude, I don't know.
I think I'll probably check it out because it is streaming. I think that it's good that they put it on streaming because I think it encourages more people to just say, hey, I'll watch this. So I think that's a plus. Paramount Plus, actually, pun intended. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that they are definitely emulating a lot of what's already been done. That was a lot of my problems with Avatar so many years ago. Is just exactly what you're talking about. James Cameron just took all of these other elements and just put it in a melting pot and just told the same story all over again. And I feel like very much you get that from this trailer about Secret Headquarters. It will be very much something that you've already seen, and very Spy Kids-esque with some stuff that's very directed towards the same audience that would have loved the Home Alone reboot that we got at the Christmas time. I think that this to me feels very tonally of the same type of genre.
I think this will be better than that, though. I think this will be a little better than that one. I wouldn't set people up for that much failure. I think this will be closer tied to Spy Kids, and I'm hoping closer tied to the original Spy Kids rather than like a Spy Kids 3. I do love Michael Pena, though. Like, I hope he ends up teaming up with Owen Wilson at the end. It kind of seems like there was one part of the trailer that did get me when they're both like, he comes out of the suit and he's like deep breathing. He's like, yeah, you got the winter suit. He's like, yeah, these things are so hot. And it's like, cool. That's kind of funny. That's a fun thing to include for fans of the MCU who kind of see these unrealistic things of like, do they ever go to the bathroom? Do they get hot in the suit? So I dig Michael Pena quite a bit. So we'll
I like
see.
Jesse Williams. He's also known as as Jackson Avery from Grey's Anatomy. He plays a doctor. He no longer is on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jesse Williams, he's got these ice blue eyes. And I think, to your point, I think he's actually the real villain.
He's going to be
and
the
Michael
real
Pena
villain.
might just be kind of like the deke out who ends up, realizing that he's doing wrong and is going to help Owen Wilson's character. Yeah. Wow. Didn't see that one. Yeah, right. And it's funny that they're both in Marvel movies as well. So
Yeah, absolutely.
they're playing more obscure characters, but in the MCU, they're not playing like definitive heroes. But yeah, it's interesting nonetheless. So hopefully they'll lean into some of that, like you're saying. Maybe they get a little bit more tongue in cheek about it, and they call it out, and like there is that person, very much like in Ghostbusters Afterlife, that kid that's just into the superhero movies.
Right.
Dude, do you know what this is like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like really is bringing in all that. If they do that, then that might help, because then they're not really trying to be confined into a box about how original it has to be. They can use the outside in, very much like how there was the Star Wars jokes in The Atom Project,
Or even the multiversal time travel jokes that they made, which were very tongue-in-cheek.
Right. Or you could see them going so far as to being like, oh, like, is your dad's suit made of iron or something? You're like, no, that's stupid. It's like a polyamor, some sort of made up technology or something.
Sure.
They could go that route with it, but I don't know, man. This is interesting. I'll let you watch it and let me know. Now that you're a dad, you can watch it and let me know if it's a good movie to watch with your kids.
Okay, well, let's get into our next trailer, The Woman King, from Gina Prince Bythewood. This has a slew of actresses: Viola Davis, Lashana Lynch, Hero Phineas Tiffin, John Boyega, Jordan Bolger, Sheila Atom, Jamie Lawson, Shayna West, Adrian Warren, and Tuso Mbedu, and so many more. The Woman King is a historical epic inspired by the true events that happened in the kingdom of Dahomey, one of the most powerful states of Africa in the 18th and 19th century. This is hitting theaters September 16th, 2022, but it's also actually going to be featured at TIFF, because I think TIFF's actually happening in and around the same time. So that being said, what did you think of this trailer? It was pretty epic. I was blown away by it.
This looks fantastic.
The music.
I like, as soon as I saw it, I immediately was like, we need to talk about this. We need to at some point check this out.
I'm interested in it, other than, you know what, like, again, state the obvious. You can't watch this and not think of the stories that we've already gotten from something like Black Panther and Wakanda. And I love that this movie 100% takes notice of that and says, let's tell a real story that happened in history.
Yeah.
And really bring that to life, knowing that now that there is that palette for these kinds of stories, and especially with the success of Black Panther, I think it's very fitting that they come out with this story and how that can be told. And I bet you any of this history inspired elements within Black Panther.
It absolutely did. Yeah, the Dora Milaje are straight up based on the Dahomey tribe, the Dahomey Amazons. And so I was doing a bit of research because, this trailer, made me not think of our real history. I'm a dumb geek man. And I instantly thought of Black Panther. I thought of the Dora Milaje. And man, I think this looks so good. Viola Davis is going to be excellent. I'm excited to see essentially the deadliest warriors who ever lived. The trailer says female warriors specifically, but I'm going to go with warriors in general because the choreography in this looks absolutely insane. By the end of I was researching, by the end of the 19th century, apparently there were 6,000 women. Many of them had begun their training as teens and young girls, were among the Dahomey military ranks in times of war during the transatlantic slave trade and the fight against French colonialism. And they were the last line of defense between the enemy and the king, which I just, we got John Boyega in here as King Gizo, who was, according to history, the last king so I don't think things are going to end very well for him, unfortunately. I'm so intrigued by this. Lashana Lynch, I think, is going to be phenomenal, kind of as this sort of up-and-coming heroic character who's under the wing of Naniska, who is Viola Davis's character. And I just think, you know what, there are documentaries out there on the Dahomey Amazons, but most of them were captured and written by white male documenters who I don't think have been able to humanize these women the way that this movie is set to do. And I think that's so incredibly important. And obviously Black Panther showed that to us with fiction. And
Fictional,
I get that this is not going to be a documentary down to the T. There's obviously creative liberties taken with it because it's still a
there's
blockbuster
dramatization
movie. Right. But I still think this is I'm so amped for this. I'm so excited for this, and I'm excited to be able to say, you know, wow, these are this is the original Dora Milaje that actually happened, and we get to learn about this history the way that it actually unfolded. I don't know, man. I'm stoked.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I totally agree. I think exactly that we were on the same wavelength. We both were the geeks and thought, whoa, this definitely looks like Black Panther, but elevated. And once you do the research and you understand that it is of history and that the Dora Milaje was very much inspired, as you pointed out, I think that just helps give more essence as to why this movie should come out now. And its cast is stacked. You know, Viola Davis, Lashana Lynch, I think are incredible actresses right now that are just paving the way for so many, and John Boyega as well. And then even some of the secondary characters that we've seen, I believe Sheila Atom is her name, but she was in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
Right, as Sarah.
Yeah.
I think that like we've already been introduced to so many of these actresses and other characters. It's going to be really interesting to see them come together. I'm getting very Northman vibes, where it's just it's stunning visuals. It's very real. It's very visceral, and there's going to be a level of intensity that is very similar to the Northman, and I think the trailer very much captures that. We'll see how much of it is. You know, like we always get into these situations when there's a lot of intensity, or like, oh, this movie's going to be really great, but then you realize, oh, well, the trailer just showed already all the best parts of the movie. I don't think that's the case. I think that this trailer actually stays fairly reserved. It gives you the pieces of information that you need to know to understand the context of the story and to get you hooked so that you will go see it without necessarily giving you all the pieces. And it's got a wicked track. Like, this trailer picked a very great, like, fantastic musical track that just hit well with the visuals. I think it was a solid piece of movie marketing that I was just like, I can't wait to see this movie.
Yeah, if the movie's anywhere as good as this trailer was, it'll be a great movie.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's get on to our next trailer, which is for WifeLike, another film. This one is written and directed by James Bird. This movie stars Jonathan Rhys Meyers and Elena Kampouris, Doran Bell, Ahmed Darish, and many, many more. The synopsis goes, when artificial human Meredith is assigned as a companion to grieving widower William, she is designed to behave like his late wife. But in the fight to end AI exploration, an organization attempts to sabotage her programming. This is going to be available on digital and on demand with Paramount Plus as on August 12th and in selected theaters. This was a weird one. It was very intriguing. The look to Meredith is very like she looks like silicone. Like, she looks like plastic.
Elena Kampouris, who plays Meredith, looks perfectly robotic in this role. And I kind of had to like look up this actress and sort of see what does she look like in other movies to kind of understand if this was more just this movie. She does kind of look very similar to the character of Meredith.
She has the features.
Yeah, but I think they've done maybe a little bit of FX work on like the eyes, kind of enlarging them a little bit, maybe kind of thinning out the neck a little bit, and different things like that. I think they've smoothed out certain spots using effects. And again, it'll be interesting to see how much of it is her performance versus how much of it are the effects. But she really does look the part. I think the part that just throws me off again, and we talked about this just a moment ago with the secret headquarters trailer, was just the aspect of like, this looks like so many
More of the
movies
same?
that we've
Yeah,
just
more of the same.
watched.
Yeah, I know.
Like just these themes of AI and artificial
Right.
intelligence, like gaining sentience and freedom. Better, I think there's better versions of this, like Ex Machina. In
It's
video
so
games,
good. That was the
Detroit
movie,
Become
yeah.
Human, or what I was just watching earlier tonight, Westworld, right? Like, I think all of these have given us original stories centered around these themes. So I just don't know. I don't know if the writing here is going to do anything new, unless. And Justin, tell me if you kind of got this as well. Maybe she is still his wife. Maybe she didn't pass. Maybe she's actually a human. And they found a way to almost turn humans into robots. Like, she's not actually made of machine parts. She's just a subservient version of his wife. That could be, and like that's the twist or something. I don't know. I'm trying to give
Maybe
it more than I think it actually is.
Sure. I definitely don't think you're wrong to assume that there's going to be a twist. There's going to be some sort of a twist, right? Because I think you've already said everything that I was thinking as well. There's so many other movies and shows that have done this better, especially Westworld. I didn't even think of Westworld, but you're obviously watching it right now, so it's hard not to think of that. But Ex Machina, that's the first thing I thought about when I saw this trailer, and I was like, this has already been done, and it was done so well. I don't know if anything can really... You're not wrong to assume that there's some thriller, murder mystery, something that's going on as well amidst this whole... robot wife that is very much...
Maybe they'll take it in the direction of like Terminator, and she'll end up just killing that guy at the end or something. Like I could see them going that route. I hope so. I don't know. I just don't know what... I just don't... Based off this trailer, I really don't know...
that seems too typical.
What they can do. Yeah. We'll have to...
I know.
We'll see. I'll probably just keep watching Westworld.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, that's it for trailer time. We got through all 4 of those trailers. Before we wrap this show, as always, I'd love to close out with a little what you been up to, Nate? Anything you've been watching, enjoying movies of tiny things and wearing shoes and stuff.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, at the top of the show, I mentioned that I've finally been able to hang out with friends outside of work, and I've recently started working in a new location, and finally I've gotten to do the social group thing, going out to a movie, getting tacos, getting ice cream by the waterfront late at night, like just a freaking fantastic time. But I will say, Marcel the Shell with shoes on. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't listened to a single word that we've said this entire time, first of all, try to listen to it. But second of all, go see Marcel the Shell with shoes on. Go support this movie. It's so incredibly delightful. A24, Elevation Pictures, and Dean Fleischer-Camp have crafted a movie that honestly has deeply connected with myself and anyone who's ever gone through loss. Of many different kinds, not just the death of a loved one, but even just maybe losing touch with someone. And it's so beautiful. It's so heartfelt. It's a warm hug. But you got to bring the tissue box, I think. And I'm going to go so far out on a limb and say that it's my favorite use, and you won't know until you've seen the movie. This won't spoil anything, but it's my favorite use of bookending since Lost. It's my favorite use of bookending since Lost. That is correct. My favorite use of bookending in terms of, if you don't know what bookending is, the thing happened at the beginning that happens at the end. It's my favorite use of that concept since Lost. It's absolutely beautiful. It sticks with you, and I can't wait to see it again. Honestly, I really do. Both Jenny Slate and Isabella Rossellini, who is absolutely so charming in this movie. Dude, just watch it. Just go watch it. Have a lovely time, but be prepared to cry, because I think I might have ugly cried like at least 3 times in the movie.
Wow. Ugly cried. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I am so stoked to see this movie, and I am so happy that it has been getting all of the love and recognition for being what the trailer very much set up for, a very emotional self-discovery story that is very tangible for all audiences, and I think a great way for children. The way that they're getting it out, it is building based on word of mouth, and that is very much what propelled Everything Everywhere All at Once. I honestly believe that between Marcel the Shell with Shoes On and Everything Everywhere All at Once, we have two heavy hitters for Best Picture. I think you will see both of those movies in the Best Picture category. I'm hoping for 10, of course, but I'm hoping for 10. But it'd be interesting to think. What do you think? Do you think it'll go more? Do you think it would actually show up as like Best Documentary or Best Animation or both? Like, could it do both?
That's an intriguing idea. I don't think it'll show up in the Best Documentary category, even though it very much could. I don't know. But it definitely needs to be winning some awards. I'm also excited that it's going to be on HBO Max. Recently, I think just as of a few hours ago, it was published that they are adding all of the A24 films to HBO Max. I hope that means Crave in Canada, so that we can enjoy all those movies.
That's the thing
there. Yeah. That would be really nice. But yeah, man, it definitely deserves a ton of awards. Honestly, it's just again, it's a movie that I can't stop thinking about, and I don't. You mentioned it. Maybe it would be good for kids. It's not that it's bad for kids. I don't know if kids would necessarily sit through some of the quieter moments as much. I don't know how much it would connect with young children. But I think
how young are you thinking? I'm thinking maybe like 6 and up. Right, like 6 to especially like 10. Like I think
maybe 13 and higher. Maybe is who I would suggest this movie to, or maybe 12. But I don't know. I'm so out of touch with kids. They're all having ragers apparently at the ages of 6.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Well, I think even at that age, when we think back to movies that we watched when we were younger and then we would watch later, there are things that we didn't catch when we were younger that we then caught when we were much older because we understood things differently. And I think that's very much how Marcel the Shell with Shoes On will work. I think you can probably introduce that. I don't know. I have to see the movie to get a better sense of it. I am talking about a movie that I really want to see rather than the movie that I've already seen. But for my whatcha, at the top of the show, I mentioned you had beautiful thighs and a nimble tongue, and
yes,
that is a quote from The After Party, the Apple
TV
Plus series. That's from the high school episode when. I believe it's Jasper telling Anik to get over to the St. Patrick's Day party. He says, just bring those beautiful thighs and that nimble tongue over to this house party. And I was like, that is going to be my quote for Nate. The show is great. The show is fantastic. I like the murder mystery, but also parody of movie styles. I think the next one I'm about to watch is animated. Or has animated components. I think it's Zoe's story.
Yep.
So I'm excited to get into it. I don't have that many more episodes to go through. I think I have like 3 and then I'm done. And they're really they're very snappy. It's very much like it has scale for the series. Chris Miller and Phil Lord can really do no wrong. They've done some fantastic work in their career. All very, very impactful in terms of the styles and of comedy, and very much they've already established that they love playing with the idea of being meta and mixing genres and whatnot. A fan of that.
Yeah, man, it's for movie fans. This is a murder mystery comedy for movie fans because it absolutely does. Right, every episode's a different movie genre. I think my favorite has to be the sort of the Fast and the Furious style. One I think is
Gone
episode
in 60
2.
seconds style. Yeah. No, I think it's episode 3, or maybe it is episode 2. You're right. It is episode 2. You're episode 2. It is and I enjoyed that one. I thought it was pretty funny. It is also really great to see the difference in the stories based on who's telling it. And right, because that also shapes how we discover things. But yeah, especially given that I'm a huge fan of Only Murders in the Building. I feel like this is definitely different. it's playing fast and loose with the comedy and how it mixes together. And
Yeah.
the murder mystery is definitely the tension that keeps it all grounded. But when they're doing all the other stuff, it is very inside the minds of the storytellers, if you will. Whereas obviously, Only Murders is doing their own thing and focusing on a niche with the podcast idea and how they're wrapping themselves around. It's just very interesting that we are in a midst of a lot of murder mystery shows and everyone's approaching it differently. And yeah, I'm glad I've started watching After Party, because it really does show the difference that it has over something like Only Murders in the Building, which, to me is one of my favorite shows. And
yeah, I feel like Only Murders, especially this second season, has given us those dramatic moments, those moments where I have teared up, with some of the performances there. And that's not the case for After Party. After Party is just a giggle fest. It's just a lot of laughs, even in some of the slightly more dramatic or romantic moments. You're along for the ride. It's a lighter version of a murder mystery. But yeah, man, it's renewed for a season 2. So I can't wait to see how they sort of do like a Knives Out approach. Maybe Tiffany Haddish comes, but it's a completely different group, right? Is that kind of the through point? Yeah,
I honestly believe that has to be the case, and quite literally the case.
Yeah,
but it would be interesting too, because if she is in the same vicinity, and maybe you do get some like outside
characters
sources,
kind of coming over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're definitely not going to be able to do it the way they've set up this one, where they're like locked down. So the situation has to kind of expand a little bit and feel a little different. So then that way they can create something new. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think it has its own vibe. It's a lot of fun, and it feels very much like a Chris Miller and Phil Lord production, 100%. So
very cool.
But that is it. We hope you enjoyed This Week in Geek. And if you did, make sure you subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts on this week's news or any of the content we cover, well, you can reach out to us by email at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com, or on Twitter at geekcentricyt, or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric. Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other episodes covering the latest and greatest shows and movies out now, including our recent spoiler-free and spoiler-filled review for Thor: Love and Thunder, our spoiler discussion for Stranger Things 4, and our spoiler-free review for, well, we were talking about it, Only Murders in the Building Season 2, episodes 1 to 6. And this week we will have a review for The Gray Man, and maybe, nope.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But we'll see if we can squeeze it in.
Yeah,
for sure. We'll see if we can get it
Love
in there.
to.
We also have completed another watch club, actually 2 if you count Obi-Wan, but we just wrapped Marvel Studios' Ms. Marvel. All 6 episodes are out now for you to enjoy, with our finale where we talk about all things. Well, just go there. It's got some spoilers in it for you. So, also we have a ton of interviews, like our interview with director Angus MacLean, producer Galen Sussman, and composer Michael Giacchino from Disney and Pixar's Lightyear, as well as our interview with directors Adil and Bilal, who directed episodes 1 and 6 of Ms. Marvel, and most recently my interview with Obi-Wan Kenobi director Deborah Chow and Anakin Skywalker himself, Hayden Christensen. Plus, we actually got some more interviews on the way, and we got new watch clubs on the way.
Oh, yeah.
With She-Hulk and Andor closing in fast on the end of August. And lastly, we have our weekly episodes like this one called This Week in Geek, where we share our thoughts on the latest news and trailers every single Wednesday. However, this weekend is San Diego Comic-Con, which means we expect some big news to be dropping over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Related to all things geeky. So stay tuned for some special weekend coverage of the con as we share our thoughts on all the latest news and trailers ahead of next week's This Week in Geek. That'll actually be our This Week in Geek, those episodes. So
get them early.
You'll get them early. You'll be getting them early. But until then, Nate, thank you so much for joining me for This Week in Geek. And as we say,
my nimble thighs love ya.
Peace.